What is up, Watch fam? Welcome to RanT&H. I am Anna from Theo and Harris, and I am here with special guest
Christian from Theo and Harris. And today we're going to be talking about this. You want a Rolex, but now what? Let's do it.
Before we get into the topic, let's do a quick wristwatch check. What are you wearing?
I am wearing a Rolex Reference 1007. It is one of the many vintage Rolexes available in the Theo and Harris watch shop. This one is cased in solid yellow gold, which for me, I love on a bracelet. It's gaudy on a strap. It is classic, totally choice. What are you wearing?
Choice. I am wearing a vintage Universal Genève pull router. You can hear it all day long. I can hear it because it has a micrometer movement. Yeah, this is my personal watch, my only vintage mechanical watch.
It's beautiful.
And it's a great one-watch collection.
All right, so let's get into it. Rolex is real short. Everyone wants a Rolex, basically.
Or if you don't want one, you've heard it.
Right. Rolex is, if you want to watch one of the 99% chance, it's a Rolex that you aspire to own.
Right.
People, watch geeks, non-watch geeks, people who never really seen even luxury items in person all over the world. Rolex is an icon. But for the many people, the thousands, probably millions of people out there that want a Rolex, are ready to buy, but are not sure quite how to proceed,
Where to go?
this video is for you. Anna, take the lead.
So the first question you really ask yourself is, okay, I want a Rolex, but really, what is it? What are the why is it a great idea? Why? And if you have absolutely no answer to that question, check out our video we just released on Rolex history. It gives you a nice foundation, understanding where they're coming from, and really, is there any merit to this claim that like Rolex is the best?
I feel like if you're about to spend three at the bottom, $4, $5, $6, $10, $12, $15,000 on a watch, more than that,
right,
you should have an understanding, and mind you, an understanding takes 10 minutes to watch a video, an understanding of what that company is, where it comes from. Otherwise, I feel like, I don't know, you just gave into the marketing alone. You know what I mean? It's good to know what it is that you're buying. You worked really hard for your money, and now you should know where it's going. Step 2.
Right, so now you know a little bit about Rolex. You understand the merit and you want one. What model do you go with?
Right, Rolex has quite a wide variety, although most of their watches are cased in what they call their oyster case, and all the watches in many ways are fundamentally very similar, right? Their dressiest Datejusts are quite similar to their GMTs.
Right.
Still, there is great variation,
right?
And it comes down to, I suppose, two things. One, form, and two, function. Form. What is your style? Right? How do you feel comfortable? Are you the kind of person that wears a suit to work every day and their most casual outfit is a pair of loafers, jeans, and a sweater? Right? In that case, you might want to check out their more formal categories, right? Like the Datejust or the Oyster Perpetual, or even if your budget is a Date-8, something like that. Or if your aesthetic or how you feel comfortable is more sporty. Right? If you are someone that likes to really have heft around them, which is kind of, it's not intangible. Of course, heft is by definition tangible, but it's a feeling. You want to kind of have this tool, this historical utility. It's different appeal than the Datejust, and that you could go with Explorers or GMT, right? Or Submariner. There's so many different routes. Right? And then going back to step 1, once you pick a model, you need to learn about that model specifically. Because each Rolex model, whether it's the Datejust, which was Rolex's birthday gift to itself in 1945, or whether it's the Date-8, the first watch, period, to ever have the day read in full text, or it's a Submariner, James Bond's watch, or it's the GMT, Magnum PI. I mean, there's so much history in each category that once you pick Rolex, and then your model, you gotta dive into the model itself. Step 3.
Third, one of the most important questions you're gonna ask yourself, and one where price really does get into it, you know, after basic model line, is do you wanna go with a pre-owned model or with a new model?
Or even vintage pre-owned. There's a distinction.
Yes, exactly. So there are 3 options, and how do you begin to decide, what are the pros and cons of each, and ultimately, what do you want?
Yep. Of course, if you're going with brand new, the only way to go is through, or the most common way to go is through a Rolex authorized dealership. There are many throughout the country, many by me locally even. You can go in, you try on, I would say, all their models, but really with Rolex, they don't usually have all their models in store. But you can get a feel for some of their models. You can get the best service, right? Theoretically, hopefully, if you're at a dealership that provides wonderful service, and that Rolex's standards are really high. You pay basically retail. You might even pay tax. You're going to be paying a brand new premium, right? Rolexes over the course of a lifetime have proven to be pretty solid investments.
Yeah.
But that said, most models, GMT and Daytona notwithstanding at the moment, and certain Skydwellers, you do take an immediate depreciation. That's just the reality of buying any watch. Rolex actually happens to be a bit of an anomaly in that they actually are pretty strong secondhand, in many cases much more than other brands. But still, if you're going to go buy a Rolex that is readily available, like a Datejust or like a Date-8, or like certain Daytonas, or every model is Submariner, you are going to be paying a premium, brand new. And that's just how it is. And for many people, that's fine. If you want the retail experience, if you feel more comfortable in that store, then have fun, pay your premium, salud.
Yep.
But that's not your only option.
Or you can go pre-owned. And now that does not mean that it's dinged up. It doesn't mean that there are issues with the watch at all.
Common
vintage
misconception.
or pre-owned, exactly. Doesn't mean they're faulty by any means. But it does mean there is potentially more, legroom with price because it is pre-owned, because that premium is no longer there, because it is not brand new. But with this, comes a lot of research, and specifically, you have to go with someone that you trust.
You have to go with a dealer that you trust.
Exactly. And finding that can be hard.
I'm almost certain that Rolex doesn't authorize any pre-owned dealers, not authorized Rolex dealers. Actually, I am certain. So no, you're not getting the Rolex stamp of authenticity.
Right.
That certainly does not mean it's a fake watch.
Absolutely not.
There are so many pre-owned dealers like Theo & Harris and like so many other companies on the web that work with millions of dollars in genuine Rolexes every year and deliver incredible quality watches with great reputations behind them. And they can provide any level of authenticity or any appraisals or any documentation that you might need. So it's a common misconception that you're going to get burnt if you buy pre-owned. You will if you're being reckless. It's quite possible. If you're going to go buy a Rolex off of eBay, then good luck to you, my friend. I will tell you this: the cheapest way is usually the most expensive way to go. Ultimately. Right. But please open your eyes to the potential of the pre-owned market, because there are great watches out there, the same models you can buy in the store at discounts. I always tell people when I sell a pre-owned Rolex like a Submariner, I say, oh, the retail is X, the price here is Y. You saved $900. Go buy yourself and your wife or your kids tremendous 2 or whatever dinners and celebrate your watch. You got the same watch and you got 2 incredible nights, a hotel in the city, whatever the hell you did. That's usually what I do. Then you can go vintage. And in short, vintage is a large world. It's very nuanced. There are so many details. There are decades of Rolex history. Very collectible watches. Most vintage Rolexes are more expensive than their modern counterparts. There's collectability in vintage that does not exist in modern. But that said, if you have the bug for vintage, if the history of vintage and the nuances of the old models, like gilt dials or like pointed crown guards or like Sigma dials, if that gets you going, then vintage probably is your only way to go.
Yeah.
But those are your 3 options. And before you choose one, please understand all 3. And if you decide to go brand new, it's good for you. There's no problem with that. But please do yourself a favor and understand all 3 of those segments.
And finally, pull the trigger. Don't sweat over pennies. You just bought a gorgeous timepiece that is so well crafted from one of the best manufacturers with the most interesting history, in watchmaking, and they've been around for so long. This is an heirloom piece, and it should be pop a bottle of champagne. Like it's a huge moment for you, and it will likely, be a good investment.
Quite likely it's a great investment. My mom bought my dad's GMT for $3,900 12 years ago. Another watch is a $12,000 watch, and it wasn't a particularly
not
rare
all of
watch.
them will do that, but
it wasn't a particularly rare watch at the time. It's kind of commonplace for that to happen in Rolex. It's just kind of what Rolex does. The one thing that I'll leave you with before we sign off here is there's a funny relationship between watch geeks and Rolex over the course of a lifetime.
Yeah.
In the beginning, Rolex is the be all and end all. And then you get into it. You might even buy one, depending on how quick you are to pull the trigger. And then over the course of time, you say, oh, I got duped. There are better companies, more interesting companies with better craftsmanship and more innovation and all this. And that is true. Many Cultras are better watches in so many ways, and sometimes even with more watch geeky history as opposed to the history for the masses. It's not so much commercial, it's more watch geeky.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, totally.
And you start to hate yourself for Rolex. Everyone does it.
You went through this whole cycle
100%.
through the course of Theo and Harris when I knew you.
And then you realize there's a reason why Rolex is Rolex, why they are the most famous, why they are the most iconic, why they're the only watch in the world that you could trade anywhere in the world for water or a plane ride home. That is very powerful and significant, and I'll tell you once, I'll tell you 1,000 times, if you got a couple of scotches in me and you get me talking about watches, at the end of the conversation, it's always going to end in the global and cultural impact of Rolex. That is why the Theo and Harris Watch Shop has made Rolex, particularly value Rolexes, a cornerstone or at the bedrock, because I love taking part in that moment with my clients. I just sold you a Rolex. You own a Rolex now. That's a cool kind of just, mano a mano, and give you a hug, man. Congratulations. And I've done it with hundreds of men and women, and it's an amazing feeling. That's it. Guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of RanT&H. Anna, thank you so much for coming along. Or actually, I was the guest. You were the host.
You came along, yeah, please. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. And if you like watches, subscribe to this channel. There's going to be a ton more to come.
Adios, guys.